everything sent out, get all of the stuff hooked up, and we should be good. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is April 21st, and this is the April 21st XQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be taking a break from custom adventure stuff to work on autocomplete. So what I mean by that is, oh dang it, I keep forgetting to turn on maximize on play. That's not actually what autocomplete means. That's just what happened. So currently, okay, there we go. So currently, when you are interacting with objects, if you want to type something, as you start typing, you will be shown words that you can that the dictionary already knows and might be what you already want. So for example, if I type EX, we'll get examine, exit, extinguish. If I go EXA, it reduces it just to examine. If I backspace, it brings everything back. And if I go to T, then it gets rid of exit and everything else that doesn't start with EXT, and then it pulls up more words if we have that. It's a nice quality of life feature, and it's something that I'm going to mute audio so I don't have to talk over that. And it's something that I think is a nice thing to have, but I've gotten quite a few requests to implement autocomplete. I haven't really been able to do that until, well, we're going to try to do it today, mostly because I'm not sure what the best approach would be. Because there are a couple of limiting factors. I can't really allow selection right now. So, for example, ideally what you would want is, if I type EXE, you get shown your list of choices, and then maybe you can search through them. You can kind of like scroll through them. But that process is way too cumbersome because obviously your hands are on the keyboard, so you can't exactly come over, grab your mouse, and then, scroll through to select things. I mean, you could, but that's a weird effort, and that doesn't really save you much time. You might as well just type the thing. Alternatively, what you would normally expect in this sort of thing is that you type it part way, and then you start using the arrow keys to actually select it. But I'm going to show you why that won't work. I'm going to type examine. Well, apparently I'm not going to do anything because we just had a massive weird... Oh, right. I know what happened there. That's something else for me to work on, which I will actually handle real quick. Hold on. I know what that is. So I'm going to try a different word rather than examine. Let's try eat. What would you like to eat? We'll say self. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to EX. So let's say I want to select exit. If we were to use arrow keys to navigate, well, the logical choice would be to use down. But you'll notice that pressing up or down arrow keys actually cycles through inputs. Specifically the previous inputs that you've made. So if I press up, I'll go to the first one that I've done. If I press down, I'll go down to self. And if I add more things like, I'm going to be a lot of self stuff, just to show you what that's like. So now if I press up, it's going to go to burn self, then to eat. Let's go ahead and clear that out. If I hit down again, I'll go back to burn self. If I go up, navigate. Basically, what I'm saying is that we can't really use the up and down arrow keys because, well, that handles cycling through inputs that you've already entered. Okay, well, what does that leave us? What about the left and right arrow keys? Well, we don't want to do that either because that moves the caret. So let's say that you accidentally type open sulf, then you would want to go back here and press E. However, if we don't have that capability, then you would have to awkwardly move the cursor to do it, and that's not a guarantee because you might double click and select the word, and it's a whole other can of worms. So we can't use any of the arrow keys because they're all in use. Okay, well, what can we use? We can't use space because space is obviously the space bar or the space key, and that puts space between letters or between words. So we can't do that. We don't want to do enter because let's say I have this typed out, so we have burn cell. That could be either burn select or burn self. Now, since we have no way of choosing which one of those you have, if we pressed enter, then it would auto-select, presumably, the first one. And I'm not opposed to that, but pressing enter means that it's going to have to select it and then end your total input, because pressing enter sends that sentence that you've typed to the parser. So that's not really a viable solution, because maybe that's not the last word that you want in your sentence. So no arrow keys, no space key, no enter key. The only thing that really leaves me is tab. So something we could do is, if you hit tab, then it will autocomplete the first word. I don't have that working right now, but getting that set up shouldn't be too bad. And the idea there is that if you don't want to autocomplete to the first word, then you would just be a little bit more specific until you got the word that was what you wanted. So let's say I wanted to examine, then all I need to do here is type exa, at which point examine becomes, well, actually at this point I could type it with ex. I could just hit tab and hit, or I could type ex, hit tab, and it would autocomplete examine for me. Now, if we did that, then let's say I wanted to get to exit, all I would have to do is type exi, and then I could type tab or T. Both would obviously accomplish the same thing. But let's say I was typing a longer word like extinguish, in which case ext, and let's say I wanted to extract R, that's all that's left over, so then I can hit tab again. So I think that's the approach that we're going to use moving forward. It's a little cumbersome, but it's certainly it's not as bad as I would expect it to be. And again, keep in mind that we're pretty much limited to just the tab key, because I can't really use anything else. No spacebar, no enter bar, no arrow keys. There's no navigation. We can't use the backspace key, obviously, because that's backspace. Although, I need to make sure that I have it selected. We can't use any of the number or letter keys or punctuation keys, because, well, those are needed. And we cannot use... I don't want to use F keys, because obviously that's super weird. And also it can cause functions on your computer to execute. Can't do anything with number pads, because not all computers have number pads. So I'm basically just left with the tab key. That's pretty much all I have left. I really can't do anything else besides that. So that's, I think, what we're going to do. We're going to make it so that pressing tab will select and autocomplete the first word in the list that is shown. And if you want to get more specific, then you just have to type a few more letters out until the word you want is at the top. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to do a couple of things. First up, I want to make sure that this is all what I would expect. Okay, good. So I'm going to serialize this field. I'm going to convert these to be private serialized fields, because there is no reason for them to be public, really. Private. Okay. Oh, you know what? I just realized I probably could cache that hex value. So let's go ahead and say private string hex is equal to nothing. So we'll say hex.length is greater than 0, question mark. Then we'll return hex. Otherwise, hex is equal to that. Okay, minor thing. And that should handle it. So here is where it's going to be interesting. I need a way to convey that you press tab to select something, and I'm leaning towards having a tab instruction placed at the end of the word, in addition to perhaps some special highlighting, maybe making it like a gray instead of a black background. But I don't know if that's going to be desired or not, and I'm also not sure how that's going to mess with this. So we might end up seeing what this does, but for now, let's go ahead and let that compile. And then let's go ahead and clear this out. And we haven't really changed anything yet. We're just sort of setting everything up. But let's go to our input view. Let's see, input view. Okay. So here is where things are going to get fun. So if we hit tab, we want it to autocomplete and and select the possible word. So let's see. Input.get mouse down. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is closing it if we click on the right button, the right mouse key. Up arrow, down arrow. All right. So if is open. Okay. So we're gonna say else if. There's no real reason for me to do else ifs here, but I don't see much of a point in allowing people to press up and down and tab at the same time. That could be weird. So we're going to say else if. Oh man, this is going to get all kinds of weird. We're going to have to like figure out the exact difference between the words that have been typed and the rest of the word. But we'll see what this does. So we're going to say else if input.get key down key code dot tab. This is going to be hard coded for now. I will probably end up moving that to a special key. Same with up and down arrows so that players can customize that, but for now they're not going to be able to. We need to do a couple of things. First up, I can get rid of you. Second, we need to go ahead and comment that out. I need to go to right, that's already taken care of. At least I want to make sure that that's already taken care of. So let's make sure that we have input suggestions and where are we? Good, there we are. So we'll say if input.get keycode.tab, and in addition to that, we'll say if what was it? Suggestions dot count is greater than 0, and we get this. Then we're not going to loop through the suggestions. We only care about the first suggestion, and that's going to be fun. So we're going to say suggestions of 0 dot. I don't think it actually has any references to anything useful. We have our label, but we don't have the word, which is interesting. Actually, that's downright strange. I guess that makes sense. It's because I am blowing that away whenever I initialize them again. So I probably want to store that word here. So I think I'm going to want to say private string word is equal to nothing. And then we'll have a public string word is the word that we're actually going to get. So return word. And here we'll say this dot word is equal to word. So that's purely so that we can access this without any of the special syntax highlighting that would cause us to basically not really get an accurate result back. So we're going to go over here to input view, and we're going to say dot word. So this is, jeez. Let me think about this. So we need a way of knowing exactly what word. Let's see, where are you? No, that's not right. On section set active, check suggestions. Here we are. I don't remember where I call this exactly. Okay, I do it on value change. Okay. So we need I guess I should store this then? I think we need to store the word currently being typed so that I can compare it with the first word in the input suggestions and then fill in the gaps, essentially. So we're going to say Let's see. So check suggestions. If, let's see, our substring index. Index is equal to the last index of 0, or of an empty space. Okay, and index starting from there. Okay, so let's go ahead all the way up here to the top. I'm gonna have a, oh geez, I guess it could be protected. So we'll go ahead and say protected string current word is equal to nothing. And we'll list that as the word currently being typed by the player. All right. Let's come back down to here. Add input. Text. Clear text generates space. Here we are. So we're going to change this word here to current word. All right. All right. So, oh boy, this is going to be fun. So once we do that, then we need to break that apart, basically. So we're going to say if we have more than one or more than 0 suggestions and you hit tab, then it needs to fill in that word plus a space to autocomplete. So we're going to say let's break this down. It's going to be a little sloppy initially, and then we'll clean it up. I'm going to say string remaining letters is equal to nothing. And actually, this would be is equal to, okay, we're going to say suggestions of 0 dot word dot substring with current word dot length, and I think that's all we care about, right? No, -1. So if we have, yes, that's I think what we want. So that's our remaining letters. It's going to be equal to that plus an empty space, and then we're just going to say input dot text plus equals remaining letters. I think that's what we want to do. So let's load that up and give that a shot. I don't think this is going to take us the entire day, by the way. I'm pretty sure this is going to be done within the first hour. I could be wrong, but it's largely just been a thing that I haven't done purely because I haven't been able to satisfyingly figure out how to do it. Like, I knew the bits and pieces of what I would have to do, but I just, design-wise, couldn't come up with a good solution. And I'm kind of convinced at this point that, I mean, tab is pretty much my only option, which is disappointing, but it's what we have. So let's go ahead and type EX. Good. 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 We do have something to keep in mind, though, and that is, oh, I was wrong. I don't want it to be -1. I do want it to be there. That would be 2. That makes sense. That makes sense. So there are a couple of things we need to keep in mind, though. I need to also be able to hit tab when I have a complete word already typed in. So, for example, if I type chair, chair will still be highlighted. And then if I hit tab, it shouldn't actually append anything. But I need to make sure that it doesn't throw a null reference either. Or not a null reference, but an index out of range exception, which it might. I don't. I'm not sure. I'm a little concerned that it would. I'm actually quite concerned that it would. So let's try that. Oh, I don't actually have chair. How funny. Table. Interesting. We got nothing. We also didn't get our space. Oh no, we did. Okay, never mind. Okay, so that works. The other thing that we need to do, of course, is we need to move this caret forward by one. Well, not by one, but by the to the end of the word. So that means we're going to want to say input dot. Let's see. There's something else I need to do. Let's go to previous index because I think this handles it for us. Let's see, previous inputs. There it is, string position. So I need to do this. Okay. And I believe that string position will move the caret to where it needs to go. So once we have it functionally working, which it pretty much seems like it is, we need to move on to user experience, and we need to figure out how we're going to let people know you can hit tab to autocomplete this. And we also need to apply some form of highlighting to show that it is the word that will be auto-completed when you hit tab. I was thinking maybe we could change the color of the highlight, but so instead of having it be yellow, maybe make it blue or something. But I don't actually like that. I think it makes it too weird. I think having the actual background highlight a different color would be a better choice. So let's go ahead and say tab. There it is. We have our caret moved to the end there. So I'm going to go ahead and say like, ooh, dang it. Yeah, self. Okay. So that seems to work. That works pretty well, actually. Try some longer sentences. I don't think I actually have. Yeah, I don't have rugged in there, which is funny. I'm trying to think of what I can say. I don't think I have. Oh, I do have myself. No. And I don't think I have face either. This is going to be interesting. I actually don't know what this is going to do. I don't think this will be interpreted as a valid sentence, but we'll find out. In the self. Yeah. Okay. So it's a minor thing. I don't really use autocomplete very often, but I get the feeling that some people want it. Well, no, I don't get the feeling. I know that some people want it. They've been asking me for it. So I think this will work. I can't think of a long sentence to really type. So let's go say eat. Okay. So I mean that works. So now we need to apply highlighting, and this is part of the reason why I brought up input suggestion, the class, because I need to add some references. So we're going to go ahead and serialize field, private, image, not a thing, background. Let's go ahead and come up here. We're going to say using engine.ui. Okay, that helps with background. And we're going to want a couple of things. First up, I guess we'll do this. That's fine. I'm going to do headers. I don't do these very often, but they can be useful for organizational purposes. What these do is they create a like sort of subsection of an inspector with a space in front of it and then a title, and it makes it a little bit easier to organize things by group. So let's serialize this field. We're going to say private color default background color is equal to color dot black. I'm pretty sure that's what I make it. Serialized field. Oh, wow, not that. Serialized field. Private color. We will call this background highlight. Oh, wow, that was weird. Background highlight is equal to color dot gray. It's probably not going to be those exact colors, but let that compile. Grab our input suggestion here. I'm going to take a drink. Okay. That should show all of the other. Yeah. So the reason I was kind of sighing when I made this is because it adds this space at the top, which isn't necessary, but what are you going to do? It's fine for now. Okay, so here is our background. And our actual color is, I guess, this. So we have 200 alpha, which probably means we want 200 alpha here. And I also think we're going to want it to be closer to like 50, 50, 50. So not really a huge shift for the most part. Even 50 might be a little too much. But we will see. We're going to let that save out. And I am going to... Jeez. Where's initialize called? I might be able to just pass it there. That works. Okay. We're going to go ahead and go back here. I'm going to add an int index. And at the end of this, we'll just say if index is equal to 0, then we're going to say background dot color is equal to background color, else background dot color is equal to background highlight. All right. We're going to go back over to here. We're going to pass in I. All right. Let that compile. And we should also have, is that just part of our generate suggestions? That should be fine then, I think. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and see what happens here. So what should happen is the first suggestion should be highlighted slightly gray. And that should really be the only difference. Oh, I did that backwards. That was my fault. Although I was correct. Gray is a little too much. Or 50 gray is still a little too much. Let's see, where did you go? Oh, right, you're an input suggestion. There we go. If it's greater than 0. Okay. So let's change that color. Let's make it 25. And if it's too hard to distinguish between the two, I might add a splash of color, maybe a yellow to match the highlight. So it'll be a subtler, darker one. The idea there is I just want to make sure that it feels right. It feels good to look at it. It doesn't look really jarring. Let's go ahead and save. Play. And take it for a spin. All right. So, let's go ahead, go over here. I don't know why I keep trying to move. Examine. It's still a bit much. Let's try out a couple of things just to see what they look like. All right, input suggestion. We'll go ahead and slide this around, although I don't think it's going to help me much. So we could do a highlight like that. That, I think, makes it a little bit more apparent. Um, I'm I'm not really sure how I feel about it aesthetically. Um, it feels a little basic, but I can't really think of how to spice that up to make that highlight less boring. Um, I guess it's fine. Uh, yeah, all right. Go ahead and stop playing. I'm gonna come over here. We're gonna change our color to, let's try something like that. I think something like this might be useful. It's really hard to tell. It's hard to strike a good balance here because I don't want it to be really too colorful, but also not like brown. Also doesn't help that it's yellow, and yellow is one of the hardest colors for me to really discern what a good yellow is. Because it's really easy to get a really ugly yellow, and that just, ugh. Not bad. Um, hmm. I suppose I could always change these colors to match your favorite. That could be interesting. Probably wouldn't be opposed to that. Uh, let's. Hmm, okay. Let's try that, actually. I'm curious. So we're going to change this to, it was 25, I believe. 25, 25, 25. So it's a dark gray. We're going to keep that. But we're going to change our highlight and our colors to behave more along the lines of, they're going to be more like a multiplication, I guess, of a value, which for the most part would largely just be 1, I suppose. So this highlight color might go away. We're going to instead do, let's see, we're going to comment this part out, and then we're going to get global variables dot, oh wow, that's terrible. Oh no, that's right. Global variables dot color check session dot favorite color, and that is going to be rich text is equal to true, so that should be fine. So now that will be our favorite color, and then we're going to say if it's the highlight color, we want to do this. So let's go ahead and make that that's fine for now. We'll do this times our background color. Oh, right. Never mind. That means I have to do this. Color extensions dot text color. Okay. So what should happen now is the favorite color will now be used to highlight, and excuse me. That color will also be used to multiply what the highlighted background is for your autocomplete word. So once that compiles, we should be able to get that to look right. And I think the background highlight will act the way I hope it does. Let's see. All right. So we're going to say examine. It did not. Or perhaps it did, because it would have been RGB. No, that totally did not do what it should have done. Okay. I do like having the autocomplete, though, change to match your color, your favorite color. I think that's a nice little touch. I do know that I originally avoided it because I wasn't sure if I should have a uniform uniform highlight color, but I kind of like having it be a little more personal. So let's go ahead and stop that, and let's figure out what it thinks this is and why this did not actually do what I thought it would. Oh, hold on. Can't do that. Let's go ahead and debug that real quick. Debug.log. I'm going to paste that in there. And then we're going to wrap that and convert it to a color string so that I can see all the exact values. Dot to color string. Okay. Because red, I believe, is 1, 0, 0. You know, it's 1 in the red value and then 0 blue, 0 green. Which should give us a multiplied value of I guess it'd be like 0.1 for the red and then 0 across the board for the rest. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like it multiplied it by a weird amount that I wasn't expecting. So, not really sure what's going on there. But we will find out. And if that ends up working, I might get rid of my header stuff in the script there, but that's a later thing. Examine. Interesting. Not at all. What the heck? That is not at all correct. Interesting. Interesting. It's uniform. But how can it be uniform? It should be 1, 0, 0. These should be 0, not 1. That's so freaking weird. Okay. Well, let's multiply these individual values then. Or not multiply, let's log these individual values. I'm going to go ahead and cast this. Let's just put this as a string.format. If I could type string.format, of course. All right. So we're going to do 0. Then on a new line, we'll do 1. And then 2. Okay. So that new line will, of course, be... Oh, wait, hold on. Timeout. Okay, that's correct. Never mind. Will be that dot to color string. And then finally, we'll end with background highlight dot to color string. Oh, good. It's not liking that. Well, why aren't you liking that? What? Oh, is it accidentally grabbing more than I would expect? No, that's... Oh, there it is. Yeah, we had an extra parameter there. Okay. Aha! Should be good now. So now that should log out what our actual values are. I'm wondering if it's using an incorrect value for some reason, or if it's miscalculating what the player's favorite color is. That would be kind of annoying if that's the case. But that doesn't seem right because it was correct when it showed the label. The label was red, and by default, favorite color is red. Interesting. Well, let's find out. Alright, so EX does not seem to be correct. So we have... Interesting. I guess, actually, now that I think about it, favorite color by default might be white. But if that's the case, then why are our letters showing up as red? So let's go to session. It's not going to give me what I want. Let's go to session dot. There we go. Favorite color. Nope, it's red. Totally red. Okay. Interesting. So it's incorrectly grabbing. Where are you? Here we are. This. Session.favorite color is either wrong or its hex to color is incorrect, which seems to be the case. I mean, it's logging it out as 1 across the board, which is not okay. Well, let's change that, or I guess let's not change that. Instead, we'll do this. And we'll say session.favorite. I can't spell favorite color apparently. Favorite color. And we'll say .toString. I believe that's not a string, right? Yep. Plus and we'll do that. Okay. So now we'll know what the favorite color is flagged as well as what it is being parsed out as. It would be exceedingly strange for it to give us a correct hex value. Oh, dang it. I know why. Ugh. Because I'm being stupid. That was me. That was all me. Hold on. I need to say false here. Yep. Okay. So that was all me. That was all me. It's because it was returning the rich text tag, which would obviously not be expected when I was parsing it to a hex value. So that explains that. Let's plug those values in and then let's see what it does. It's always something small like that. Oh, and before I forget, I should probably say coding, and that's probably fine for now. Okay. Are you compiling Unity? Aha! Success. Clear that out. Drag that out a little bit. Let's hit play. All right. So now, 100% sure it'll be perfect. It is! It's a little jarring having it be red, but I don't think that's too bad. It does mean that I need to be more careful about how I flag things in combat, but that's a different topic. So, okay, so now if I hit tab, it selects examine. That works. If I do self, it selects that. Ooh, actually, I might need to make it even darker than 25. I feel like that's still a little too much. Okay, I am also going to, let's see, I don't think I have a command for this already, but for the sake of testing this, I want to test it with all of the different favorite colors, so I'm going to go to, let's see, I guess I can actually manually set that. I think it's going to be something like, let's see, favorite color, piece definition. Okay, so I think I need to say like set session and then favorite dash color and then red. Jeez, that's going to be a nightmare. Okay. So let's see if I can get this correct. I'm going to try to use my debug commands inside of the command or inside of my code, and they're essentially cheats, but I always forget what they are. So let's hope I can get this. So s underscore set session favorite color. I don't know if this will work. We'll try blue. Dang it! I don't have set session. I think I have set bool, but I don't think I have set session. Let's see, dictionary. Pull this up. Grab you. Get bool. Get. Yeah, so I can set individual things, but I don't have set session values. That's disappointing. Also surprising, but I guess I've never really needed it. So, all right, then we're just gonna cheat and do this in script. So we're gonna convert this to blue to test. Make sure that that looks nice. It just would have been much easier if I could set this at runtime because I wouldn't have to play, then stop, or then test it, then stop, then play, then test it, then stop, and do all that stuff on repeat. I could just keep doing it live, but well, what are you gonna do? I probably should actually add that, so I might actually do that after this anyway, just so that I can have it as a debug tool. Okay, so we're gonna say examine. That doesn't look bad. Looks pretty nice actually. And this is the frustrating part, right? Is that some colors will just notably be better paired. Because for red, I felt like they were a little too close together, but blue, they look pretty nice like that. And let's see what they look like with green. Because there are 6 colors that you can be by default. Those are red, green, blue, orange, yellow, and violet. Those are the 6 colors. I knocked off indigo from Roy G. Biv because I feel like indigo is too close to blue anyway. I know they're technically different colors, but they're so close, and indigo is so dark that it's hard to read on a black background. So I just kind of I axed it just because it wasn't really worth it in my opinion. Sorry to anyone whose favorite color is indigo. All right. Green looks pretty good. Let's go for yellow. Yellow, I get the feeling, will actually be pretty close to what it originally was before we started doing this highlighting and tab completion. Okay. Take a drink and compile. Abracadabra. Alakazam. Yeah, we'll get there eventually. This is the other reason why I wanted to have it be done at runtime. It would be much faster. Okay, let's see here. Yep, examine is pretty much exactly what I thought it would be. Okay. So that's most of the colors tested. We've done RGB, yellow. Let's go for orange. And actually, do I have a gold? I might have made gold the yellow color, but that's fine for now. Okay, so we're going to say orange. Let that compile. I'm actually curious. Hold on. No, I'm going to keep that up there. Let's look for, what was it? Dictionary. Oh yeah, you're not going to like that. It's a good thing it's a TQ dictionary. Oh crap, what just happened there? There we go. Cheats. Peak definition, I'm going to need to go to my cheat effect. Go to definition. And I need to add some stuff here. So we're going to say get string, get session is equal to 24, and then set session session is equal to 29. So that worked out well. Good thing I left myself those gaps, and we'll just let those compile real quick, and then I should be able to test. After orange, I think all we need is violet, I believe. Pretty encouraged though. I think having the text highlight and have it display your favorite color. I mean, favorite color is a nice touch, but having it highlight, and we will also, I think, append the word tab in brackets next to it to let it indicate that you can press the tab key. We'll see what that looks like. If it looks really heinous, then I might not do that, but we need just a highlight isn't enough to indicate that you can hit tab there. That's pretty good. Let's go back to here. We're going to change this from orange to violet. Okay. So last test, and then we can get it back to default red, and then it should be good. I'm a little worried about purple. Purple might be too dark, and it might end up looking... if you have two colors that are too similar to each other, similar to what, in my opinion, red was doing, it becomes hard to read, and it can be difficult for your eyes to adjust to that. It can actually, after a while, cause strain on your eyes. So I'm trying to avoid that if possible, but we might be fine. Ooh. Oh, that was weird. Okay. That's fine. It's not as bad as I was expecting. Yeah, alright. Okay. Yeah, cool. Alright, so that works. So all of those work. That is good to me. Go ahead and save that. Let's go over to TQ Cheat. And I suppose we are going to just manually add these for the time being. But we are going to have to deal with this, aren't we? Find all references. Cheat node effect. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna come down here. Case tq cheat effect dot get session break. Oh, this is interesting. So I need to get this, I guess. Private void get session string parameters. Okay, so this is going to take pretty much this. Session dot get session. Oh, that's so annoying. I guess we'll just do get session string. I can't really do much else besides that. Set bool, set int. Go ahead and save this. Scroll back down here. We're going to want to have set session. That's really infuriating, but I think we'll have to live with it. Okay. So we're going to say private void set session string parameters. All right, and we're pretty much going to just copy this for the most part. Specify D and value, that's all fine. Values, values, values. And we'll just call set session string. All right. Go ahead and save that. Let that compile. I'm going to go back here to the dictionary. And I'll just manually add those two things. I guess actually. So let's do get session, set session. So these are just some nice debug behaviors that I'll be able to use. All right, so we're going to say SOS underscore get underscore session and SOS underscore set underscore session. Cool, nice. Save those. And let's try that out of curiosity. Oh crap! That won't do what I want. Actually, I haven't set it up to actually use set session yet. Now have I? All the way up here. We're gonna say instance.get session cheat get parameters. Okay, and then pretty much just gonna copy this. Set session. Set session. All right, now it should work. So I should be able to swap those things on the fly and test them out. Let that compile. Clear that out. Let's try it. So by default, our favorite color should be red. I'm going to say examine, looks red. That's not as bad as I thought it was. I think that's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and say SOS underscore set session favorite color blue. So nice, it worked. So now we can pretty much do all that really quickly. Let's go ahead and set it to green. Nice. All right. Actually, I guess I could use that to grab non-standard colors. So I think I can do things like, give me a second. I want to see what my possible values here are. I can do like dark. I can do like magenta or silver. or I can do all of these dark variations. We're going to try doing Azure, just to see what that looks like. And then maybe gold and tan. Just curious to see what they look like with highlighting. So we're going to set that to Azure. Not bad. Let's also go ahead and say, set it to gold. Okay. Not bad. I do think I set favorite color to be gold and not yellow, but that's fine. I just want to make sure that looked nice. And then finally, we'll say, what was it, magenta or tan, just to see what that's like. Meh, not that bad actually. Although, do we want to darken the colors? Because it kind of seems like it might be a little too easy to get bleed through when we have a full dialogue like this. Let me go ahead and set colors one more time. We'll try. What was my last one? Magenta. That's right, magenta. Give me a second. Magenta. Yeah, so you can see that it kind of gets lost here. So I think we actually need to be a little bit more, or a little bit less transparent. Let's go ahead and grab our prefab there. We're going to ramp up our opacity to 225, I think. 225. Okay. Let's go ahead and save, then run that again. Man, gotta stretch. All right. Examine. Looks good. We'll go ahead and do our full thing because it seems to be the longest command that I have right now. Nope, not set in. Session. Set it to green. Just set it a couple of times. Okay. Still not liking it. Still a little too easy to kind of not. So the problem I'm having is that if like this happens where words are lined up right below the suggestion, it makes it hard to read. So let's go ahead and select those. UI, view container, input, root, input, suggestions. All right, we're going to go ahead and grab all of these things. Well, okay, fine, we'll grab you. I'm going to set you to, we'll try just straight up to 45. So I'd like some amount of transparency. That would be nice. But oh my god, did it like revert? No, it's really just that bad, huh? Okay. So I mean, for all intents and purposes, I might as well just make them solid black, I guess, shouldn't I? It's just, it kind of sucks that that's the case. I was hoping I could keep some amount of transparency there. But it really does not seem like that's actually a good idea. Because all that does is let words potentially seep in through the background, and that just doesn't really help very much. Okay, let's go ahead and clear. And then I'm going to go ahead and say examine. It's fine. I don't think it kept the that. Let's go ahead and go back here. Let's do 250. I'll just give myself like 5. That's like less than a percentage, I think, of. Well, no, it's like maybe 2% opacity. So it's like 98% mostly opacity. So I have 2% transparency. Give or take a few percentages. That seems fine. color blue, green. Oh, hello. Oh, it's because it wasn't capitalized. That's funny. There we go. So for examine, I think that's acceptable. That 2% there, because I don't know. I just feel like having to be solid black somehow interferes with the aesthetic for it. It just makes it so harsh. And having this transparency makes it at least a little bit more bearable, because you can get some continuity between words that are partially obscured and words that are not by the actual suggestions. So I think that's a better color value. It's opaque enough that background characters don't really factor into your reading of this. Like, you can clearly see this says examine. There's a little bit behind it, but if you wanted to, you could actually try to focus on that if you wanted. Point is that it's not obtrusive, but it's also not. Nope, that would be a cat. Yes, cat, I see you. But it's also not just letting everything through. So, okay, I like those colors. I think those are good alpha values. I think our colors line up well. I like the highlight. So now, the next thing we need to do is we need a way to indicate that if you hit tab, you will select this topmost suggestion. So what we could do there, and this is pretty much the only way I can really think to do this, is to have the topmost suggestion have in brackets something like this, basically brackets then tab, to indicate that you can press tab to fill that, to select that. It might be a little cumbersome because on longer ones, like for example extinguish, it would mean that we would have a pretty long phrase here, but that's not too bad, I guess. I guess let's look at our longest word counterclockwise. I think that's the longest word in the dictionary right now. And yeah, that's not even halfway, so I guess we're probably fine there. Okay, let's go ahead and just test that out. So we're going to go to input suggestion, get rid of this, and we're going to say our text is equal to this, and then we'll, jeez, hold on. Thinking. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to say plus, no, it's going to be index is greater than 0, question mark, if so, nothing, otherwise it's going to be this. Okay. I'm hoping that works. We will find out. Yes, I think that's fine. So I'm really hoping that this will just handle it for me and I won't have to worry about it. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. So I won't have to worry about it like auto highlighting or incorrectly being typable, like being able to type bracket tab, because that's not part of the word itself and therefore it shouldn't matter. But we will find out. Ah, man, tired. Yes, cat, I see you. That's awkward. So it's a bit of a conundrum because I can't put tab in front because then that breaks up the nice like lineup and comparison of them. So I need to keep tab to the right. I can't put it in front of or to the left of the label. I guess, could I change tab to be parentheses maybe instead of brackets? I don't know. I try to use brackets to indicate keystrokes. So like pressing tab there should do something. and obviously it does. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. Let's go ahead and pause this real quick. I'm going to select our label, or our suggestion there. I'm going to change the text, so instead of saying square bright or square, that's not much better. Maybe I can compress it. I don't actually remember if there's a tag in TextMesh Pro to reduce line spacing or character spacing. I essentially just want to make this a little bit more compact. So let me see here. Let's go to TextMesh Pro real quick. Audio Store, not Audio Store, Asset Store. I'm going to go to TextMesh Pro, User Guide, open this up. Yes. Okay, let's see. There should be some, once it opens up, I will actually be able to do stuff. Oh my goodness. All right. Also, I apologize if you're hearing static. My cat is rubbing against my microphone because she wants attention. What are you doing, cat? Yes, I see you. Okay, minimize this, scroll down, and there should be a, let's see, there should be a list of this stuff. I can probably scroll through. Here we are. Point size, character positioned. I could try position, see if that handles it for us. Or I guess I could go to this link. So this is what it looks like it supports right now. Here we are. CS space. Okay. I think that's what I want. Character spacing. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and do a couple of adjustments here. So we're going to go over here. We're going to say CS space. Oh wait, was it CS space or just C space? It's probably just C space. Yeah, it's just C space. I was reading the CS space. C space is equal to negative 0.5 m followed by /C space. Okay, let's go ahead and before we do anything else, really, did I do that wrong? I don't think I did. I guess let's go ahead and copy that wholesale. Nope, that's correct. Oh, it's paused. Duh. Okay, so let's go ahead and just say 0.5 m. Ooh, too much. Okay. So negative 0.1 m. Better. Let's go ahead and make these our brackets again. I'm going to make this negative 0.2 m. Better. Again. Maybe I should have that space. Interesting. There we go. So just have no space, maybe? That makes sense, I guess. I don't really need the space. So that, I think, actually works pretty well. Let's go ahead and copy that. Paste that in over here. I think that works. Let's go ahead and let that compile. Close this. I'm pretty satisfied with that as an autocomplete. I mean, we can't support multiple words, so you can't actually select your words without typing more specific characters, but I honestly don't know how to get around that. again, we don't have any special keys left. So I think we're gonna live with that, and I think it's actually pretty nice. Um, so let's go ahead and play. See how that looks. I'm just gonna say examine. Maybe. Maybe I should have a space there. Hold on. Just a small one because I feel like it's kind of bleeding into it. So by having space, it'll be a little bit easier to read that as an instruction, I think. Let's go ahead and open this up. Input, root, input, suggestions, label. Okay. Just going to put a space here. Moment of truth. I'm actually not even sure. Okay, that's good. Yeah, all right. I think that works, having the extra space. Um, just because if it's right next to it, I guess it feels a little blurred. It makes it harder to focus on the word because you have tab appended to the end of it. But with the space, it looks a lot more indicative of an actual key command. So I think we'll just do that. We'll have a space in there. So we'll just do that. Okay. I am not really sure what else to do with that. I think it does a good job of conveying that the first thing is special, and if you hit tab, then something will happen. I apologize for all the yawning. I don't know what's going on with me today. Let's go ahead and clear this out. What are we going to do next? Nice. So let's go ahead and say, dang it. It's funny, eat self, both of those have to be typed more. Okay. I think we're at a pretty good spot for that. I'm trying to think of what the most numerous similarity or similarly spelled words I have are. Um, that's pretty good. Table, tackle, take, read, read, reference. I don't actually remember what reference does. Is that read? I think it is. Okay, so reference means read. Um, so let's go ahead and say look self. Okay. Do cipher, decimate, deactivate. Okay. Yeah, those are all fine. Even with really long words, it's actually still not that bad. I was kind of worried that longer words would make it awkward by having them be even longer, but I don't actually get that from this. So, okay, that went pretty well. I'm trying to think of any other quality of life things that we can really do while we're in here. Um, let's see. We may call it a little early today. I mean, a little early. It's fairly early. Barely been over an hour. But there are a couple of other things that I want to work on that are kind of like weird side things that I can't really do on stream because they're not that interesting to watch. But, well, let me hold on. Check my tasks. Um, couple of things. Okay. You know what? We can actually tackle that thing, the bug we ran into at the very beginning, um, which is this. All right. So let's go ahead, open that up. Oh, that's not going to work. So to give you an idea, oh, actually, not before I forget, let's go ahead and get rid of these debugs too. Okay, there we are. And we're going to go ahead and hit save there. Are we using this? We should be, right? Yes, okay, making sure. And all gets work or refreshed. It seems to go all right. Highlight, are you being used? Hex, are you being used? You are not. Okay, so both of these things can go away. So got rid of some chunks of code, which is nice. Let's go ahead and get rid of you now. And I think we can get rid of these sections. Let that compile real quick. So to show you how simple, how much more simple the input suggestion field or inspector will get. The highlight will go away, as will all of those extra labels. Shazam! Ta-da! So pretty much the exact same, just with 2 extra color fields now. Well, 1 extra color field technically because I got rid of another one. Cool. So that actually worked out pretty well. I was expecting that to either go horrendous and I just couldn't really get it to a spot that I wanted, or it would all go perfectly. Those were the 2 possible options. And it seemed to be the latter there. Okay, so to show you what I'm talking about when I say the exception we were getting, currently, when you look around an environment, it will actually find an environmental object and use that to describe your surroundings. But if it's not set up, then it's not going to work. So we need to stop playing. And I want to make sure that that is actually what it's doing. Yes, okay. So it's getting room description, basically. So I need to go over here to, not materials, but environment descriptions. And we need to set this up. I guess that's per level, so it doesn't really work very well. We can go to a different level, though, to show you it. Let's go to the, not the cabin. We want to go to the castle, because it should be set up there. Once it decides to load. There we are. Alright, so if I just start playing and then I hit look, it should actually examine where I am, what zone I'm in, and then give me a description. So for example, if I type look, various paintings dot the wall of this elegant hall, it knows that I'm in the hallway. I'm going to go into the throne room, I'll type look again, it will give me a different output. Look. Torches roar with warm light, lighting the path to the royal throne, king of Seraton waits to visit at the end of the hall. All that stuff works. If we let the wizard scene play out, then that should update again, because it's basically using a combination of bool checks and your position within a zone to determine what it should tell you about the environment. And this is just a kind of throwback to the old school text-based games where you'd go into a room and you type look around and it would give you a description of the room. Okay, so now if we were, I believe it should update. Yep, torches have all been extinguished and the throne room sits in a cool darkness. Petrified form of the king sits cold beyond the throne. So all that is set to update. So I guess there's nothing really to fix there then. It's just because the planes haven't been set up properly yet for the room descriptions. But it does bring up an interesting question. Because they're not really... The planes are kind of weird. Let's go ahead and stop playing. Actually, most levels outside of the first 2 are kind of weird in this regard. And I haven't really done a great job of setting this stuff up, so I might we might not actually be able to do this on the stream. We might have to call it quits. But you'll notice these highlighted areas. So we have one around the cabin, one around the wheat field. Those are specific zones, but I don't. If you walk outside of those zones and try to look at stuff, it won't know what to do because, well, nothing really will exist. Um, it should be able to handle that. If it doesn't, if you're not in a zone, it should use a default level description. But I need to set that up. So, you know what? That's all handled in spreadsheet form. So, I think we're gonna call it a little early today. I know we've only been streaming for about an hour and a half, but we got the main thing done today that I wanted to do, which was handle autocomplete, and it seems to be in a pretty good spot. I'm really gonna have to hand it off to other people to test it because I don't really use autocomplete very often when I type. I very rarely do that. I prefer to just type out the entire letter or the entire word. But I mean, it seems to be pretty fine. So I think we'll call that a day. So announcements. There. No, that should be fine. Yeah, I don't really have anything for the short term. Trying to think about really long term. I'll probably talk about that stuff as I get closer to it. So yeah, no real announcements today. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.